John, if you can, let's start off by talking about how you got your start in the oil and gas industry.
Well, I started in the oil and gas industry really from my parents. My father built oil refineries in the Middle East, and we lived in Kuwait when I was small. So that was my informal start to the oil and gas industry. The real answer to that is after graduating from Rice, I went to Lehman Brothers, and I was in the investment bank there in their natural resources group. And that was really the beginning of the career.
So talk to us a little bit more about your path, once you professionally started working, the path to get to where you are today.
After joining Lehman Brothers in the natural resources group, I went into industry, I went to private equity, and then into industry again. So I found opportunities to really accelerate my career by moving into different parts of the industry, whether it be investment banking, into a company, or being in private equity. And by finding the right spots with people that I really trusted, I was able to jump ahead a few steps every time I moved, until my last role, which was in Sandridge Energy, took them through their restructuring, and then moved into this current role as CFO of Maverick. So it was an interesting career that came through all different sides of looking at it, from the investment banking side in the middle initially, to the company side, and also the private sponsor side, where you're owning the company as well.
Talk to us about a challenge or a risk that you faced, maybe if you can remember pinpointing a time that helped sort of shape you as well professionally.
The biggest change that I made was going from my prior job to this one, and the difference was between managing and leading, which is really important to me and something that I've learned. So when you have 10 people that work with you, work for you, you can go or at least think you can, go do all of their jobs for them. You can manage everything that they do directly. But in coming into this role, where I came in and had 70 people reporting to me, it's very hard to do 70 people's jobs. So in doing that, you have to learn how to lead instead of manage. And I think that's a really important trait when you're going into a larger size organization, when you're moving up in your career, is knowing the difference between being a leader and a manager. And so I think learning that was more difficult for me to let go of the detail, let go of understanding everything that everybody was doing all the time, and go into a role where you're guiding them, where you're monitoring what they're doing, where you're leading them, not directing or managing them.
Very interesting there. What about advice for younger professionals? Do you have any advice, maybe with someone trying to find their place in the industry, or really just within a role?
I think the most important thing for a young professional to do is to work hard. If their goal is to go and really make something of their career, is to focus on it and work hard and put the time in, be willing to do anything that they can to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. I think that they need to develop their own style, so people will give you all kinds of advice. And what's really important is that you take the advice that fits your style. So my style will be very direct and to the point and unafraid of conflict. Other people find a much more gentle, softer style more fits them. And so you'll get conflicting advice from different people depending on what they're like. And I think it's most important that you figure out what your style is, and then make that fit you, and then adjust it to yourself. But certainly working hard, being direct and going after your goals, are important. Also trusting people and developing deep relationships. That's the way that I've got every job, not through recruiters. I don't think ever. Always through somebody who's worked with me, or somebody who's worked with somebody that I've worked with. Those personal connections are important.
Very good advice there. What about work-life balance? Do you have any tips there?
I have one, which is when you first start out, I believe that you really shouldn't have one. And I think that working hard when you're young is super important. That's how you get ahead, and then you get the benefits later. So for me, I didn't have that much work-life balance, maybe the first 10 years, and now I have more. And the reason being that you've put in the hard time, you've done the things that you need to, and now when you're more senior, you can have people who are really good that work for you and trust them to do their role. So as I was talking about earlier, because you're leading them and not directly managing them, you can allow them to have responsibility, you can empower them to make decisions, and that makes your life better. So the more good people you have, the better your work-life balance can be. But I'm one of those people who believe the work-life should come later, And if you really want to get ahead, then you should work hard and ignore it for the first 10 years.
Thank you for that. Is there anything about your company that you'd like us to know? You know, this year has been so unimaginable, but as we move past 2020, you know, what are you looking at as far as the path forward?
Well, we've been really focused on being efficient with costs. So there have been some articles out, some of them through Hard, about our company, Maverick Natural Resources, that have been focused on what we're able to do with costs. And the way we do that is by running our oil and gas company just like a manufacturing process, using management techniques like objective key results, management by objectives, where everybody has KPIs, everybody has objectives, everything is measured, and using modern management techniques and applying it to oil and gas, which is, in our opinion, 20 years behind in terms of management practices. We also run a series of transformation sprints where we start taking costs out in a very compressed time frame. So we've been focused on costs, demonstrating that managing proved, developed, producing oil and gas needs to be done in a modern way. And now we're finding success in growing that base and looking at numerous merger acquisition opportunities, some of which are happening real time. And we're working on those. Can't talk about them yet, but we're excited about the possibilities we have. We're looking forward to growing as we keep going.
That's great to hear. We appreciate your time with us, and congratulations on this honor, John.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the interview.
You're very welcome.